Today I'm talking about the fit between two charts when there's an opposition between Venus and the Moon. First, I'll explain how opposite signs work and how these two planets, the Moon and the Venus, will feel at this angle. I'll talk about how the Moon and Venus are different and how they are similar, and explain some of the factors that change how you should read it in your chart. This video uses Western charts, but I also check the compatibility between the Vedic stars in these cases, which is a different video entirely. Before I get started, I want to mention that I'm doing a special kind of reading giveaway related to that. If you stay till the end, I'll tell you how to enter. Although I'll try to keep each section of this video brief, as not to bore you, it's also my goal for you to be able to apply this knowledge in other areas of your life. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to support me. More on topic though, Venus opposite Moon can be a great synastry aspect in a supportive chart, but it can also have some drawbacks that you don't expect from this aspect at first glance. Keep in mind, there are no bad energies, only energies that we haven't learned to work with correctly. Luckily, oppositions have a noticeable energy that we can learn to recognize fairly easily. The energy of an opposition isn't necessarily aggressive, but it isn't flowing either. It has a stop-start, give-take kind of feeling to it. The effect that the opposite sign has is one of duality. It's both the loss of that sign and the cure for it. It's both supportive and cutting. I've talked about this in other videos, but oppositions have a first house, seventh house relationship. In Vedic, we refer to it as a first-seventh relationship. Astrologers don't often talk about what that means. The secret is that it has the same energy that you see between the planets and signs that rule those houses. In this case, that would be Aries and Libra. Aries is Mars, who is concerned with taking, and Mars has a special relationship with Venus, because it's the sign that's exactly opposite it. But it's not the stable, sensual Venus that we see with Taurus. This is the impersonal Libra, who is concerned with equal give and take. It's concerned with business, relationships, and the marketplace. So, all oppositions have an energy that feels like this. Stop and start, give and take. Aries takes, while Libra keeps the score, making sure that everything is equal. When Libra decides what is equal, it expects Aries to act on that. And Aries expects to be allowed to be the active partner here. Aries doesn't take turns well, and he expects his partner to self-advocate. To sum it up, it's sufficient to say that Mars and Venus are the natural planets for the opposition. But how does it work when the planets involved aren't Venus and Mars, but instead, they're Venus and the Moon? Well, let's talk about those planets. The houses and signs concerned here are 2 and 4 and 7. The major similar themes to all of these houses is that they can be about comfort. They are ruled by Cancer, Taurus, and Libra. What are the relationships between these houses? Well, Cancer and Libra don't get along very well because it's a square aspect. In Vedic astrology, they are considered enemy planets. Cancer and Taurus love each other though. In fact, Moon in Taurus is considered the best placement for the Moon in Vedic astrology. In Western though, it's a sextile. You can see here, just from this brief paragraph, why reading personal charts can be so complicated at times. I'm sure at this point you're just like, get to the point. Is it a good aspect or a bad one? Well, that depends. We'll talk about specifics on how to look at your own chart later in the video. For now, here's the other secret we don't often talk about. The opposite of a sign is very important to that sign. For Cancer, that sign is Capricorn. What is Capricorn? Well, Capricorn and Saturn are about hard work and security. The Moon needs security from this opposition. Venus provides in a way that feels superficial to the Moon, who needs to feel that something stable is being built between them. The Moon wants to feel like they can rely on their partner over time, because Saturn is their natural partner. And Venus is looking for action. Venus wishes the Moon would just accept their pleasantries and compromise and call it a day. They don't agree on what the relationship is about, and they don't necessarily understand why. This aspect could work well if the two people have a healthy relationship between their Saturn and Mars synastry. But these two energies are also square. The energies between the Moon and Venus and Saturn and Mars are inherently incompatible. So, at first it seems like the Moon and Venus are looking for the same thing, but neither one can provide it fully. There's something about the difference between these two that causes requests to not be fulfilled. That's where this push-pull dynamic comes into play between these two planets. Venus needs action from their partner, and the Moon needs building. Like other oppositions to Venus, it may never develop into a formal relationship. At the same time, though, actually, despite these differences, it can feel really good. They'll feel an intuitive understanding when they first meet, kind of like a soulmate or a soul tribe type of vibe. The positivity between these two can give the feeling that they finally found someone willing to provide a safe place to rest. They can also both provide emotional support to one another. Emotional sharing will be a huge theme between them. There can also be an element of sexual compatibility, considering that both planets have a say in feelings of comfort and, ultimately, the body. There's a subconscious need to constantly compromise and find balance. When they get out of balance, they'll both work very hard to get back to the sweet sharing that they once knew. Over time, this energy can develop into something overindulgent, with both partners feeling empty-handed when things don't feel perfect. Due to the nature of this opposition, both parties can feel that something isn't being understood fully. Again, despite all of that, it can still feel really good. This opposition can work out well for your personal chart and the personal journey that you are on. For instance, it could come into your life at a time when you're trying to learn what you need in a partner. Unfortunately, oppositions to Venus can very often indicate a teaching relationship or one that never makes it past the dating stage. In long-term relationships with partners, children, or parents, this lesson can last a lifetime, one that you'll find mutual support in. This could even be one of your very favorite people. How do you tell how this aspect might affect you personally? Well, that's more complicated. Check the signs, the degrees, and the houses. You can also check the nakshatras, but that's another video. For the degrees, you'll want to look at how close they are. I would count anything in the opposite signs. So, for Libra and Aries, in any degree or any orb, I would still count that as a compatible energy. That's if I'm using sidereal. So say it's a 10-degree opposition, but you have one in Libra and one in Taurus. I would consider that a 6-8 relationship. For that, I would suggest looking into inconjunctions or quincunxes. But in general, if it's in the same sign in sidereal, I would consider that applying. From 0 to 2 degrees is going to be the strongest felt connection, one that you'll feel when you first meet. Anything above that depends on other factors. For instance, any other aspects that you have in your chart that are closer than that aspect will overpower this aspect and make it less pronounced. So the energy still exists, it's just part of a backdrop of other energies. An example is basically if you have a Pluto that's squared to these two opposite planets, but Pluto is squared to Venus at 1 degree, and the Moon is opposite Venus at 3 degrees. The Pluto square Venus energy is going to create a more draining, secretive, and combative relationship, one with an element of control. By the way, I've seen these relationships work out quite well. They're not always bad. But the point here is that the Pluto affecting this energy will be much stronger if it's at 1 degree. If the opposition is at, say, 9 degrees, you're going to feel everything else before you feel that. By the way, if this is the case in your chart, you can check out my Moon Square Pluto video to get an idea of how that aspect works. The houses and signs also play a role in this interpretation. I'm not going to go over all the houses in this video, but when you look at your own chart, it'll be the houses that these planets rule in your chart that will be significant. For instance, if you're an Aries ascendant, then your Venus will rule your 2nd and 7th houses. Your Moon will rule your 4th. Those are the houses that will be activated by this aspect. Look at the signs that the Moon and Venus are in. A Venus in Leo will bring in an element of playfulness and creativity. And for that, I'd check where the Sun is as well. If it's in Taurus, you're getting into elements of sensuality and physical ownership. You want to check other planets that are incorporated into this aspect as well. Lastly, for the houses. If it's in the 3rd house, it'll be about learning and communication and connecting mentally with someone. If it's in the 4th house, you can expect that sign to be more pronounced as well. There, you're looking at elements of security, safety, emotions, and comfort. Interpreting your chart this way can take a lot of time because there's so many elements to calculate. But anyone who really puts in the time and is curious, they can do it. So if that's something you really want to do, don't give up. If, however, you're not interested in interpreting your own chart or you need someone to walk through that with you, you can always email me for more detailed readings about your chart. That brings me to the part of the video where I tell you how to enter for the reading giveaway. If you're interested, keep listening. But don't worry if you don't win. You can still email me for free questions or paid consultations. To enter the giveaway, just comment Venus opposite Moon down below. The first person to do this wins. The reading that I'm offering in this giveaway is simple. I'll read your chart, determine the nakshatras, and explain in detail how this opposition will affect your synastry. Be sure to have your exact birth data ready, or the reading will not be valid. Because for this type of reading, you need the exact degrees. The moon will move very fast in your chart. I'll also describe how the houses and signs will affect your opposition in your charts, and the relationship between those nakshatras. Thank you for sticking to the end. If you have any video suggestions, or any questions about this video, please type them below. Like this video and subscribe to help me out, and good luck on your karmic journey.